Hello and welcome to this week's edition of The Week That Was, where we review the top content as published on whatselectricalnews.com throughout the week. The competition watchdog has vowed to take on the country's most militant unions, using a case against the Construction, Forestry, Mining and Energy Union to ask business to come forward with more evidence of illegal conduct. The landmark case is one of the key priorities for the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, which will also target Telstra, petrol suppliers and cartel conduct in 2015. ACCC Chairman Rod Sims will use a record $10 million fine against supermarket giant Coles, which is owned by Wesfarmers, to pursue banks and big businesses that bully small suppliers. Woodside Petroleum is looking to take advantage of India's growing demand for liquid natural gas after agreeing to partner with the conglomerate Adani Group. The Perth-based oil and gas business signed the understanding with Adani in the Indian state of Gujarat at the weekend that will see the two companies work together to identify and develop potential LNG projects. A new analysis suggests that large-scale wave energy systems developed in the Pacific Northwest could provide steady, dependable energy and be integrated into the overall energy grid at lower cost than other forms of alternative energy like wind power. The findings confirm what advocates believe, that wave energy will have fewer problems with variability than some other energy sources, and that by balancing wave energy production over a larger geographical area, the variability can be even further reduced. Unlike solar and certainly wind, waves are always available. Wave energy is not commercially produced in the Pacific Northwest, but some believe its future potential is significant, and costs should come down as technologies improve and more systems are developed. Markets and Markets recently conducted a study on the Energy Management Systems EMS market, which analysed and studied the major market drivers, restraints and opportunities in North America, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia Pacific and Latin America. The Energy Management Systems, or EMS, vendor landscape is highly fragmented with multiple offerings ranging from simple energy monitoring dashboards to complex energy management softwares with a high degree of analytics. The study reports that the EMS market is expected to grow from $17.4 billion in 2013 to $38.49 billion in 2018. Some of the major players in this market are GE, Schneider Electric, Siemens and Honeywell. Lend-Lease has awarded Veolia a long-term contract to operate and maintain one of Australia's largest district energy cooling and water treatment schemes at Barangaroo South in Sydney. The contract will involve the operations and maintenance of a 62-megawatt district cooling network, high-voltage embedded electrical network and a recycled water treatment plant. Designed and built by Lend-Lease, this shared infrastructure will be critical to ensuring a carbon-neutral and water-positive outcome for the world-class commercial precinct. The first stage of Barangaroo South project, comprising of commercial, residential and retail buildings, will start to be occupied from mid-2015. Speculation is mounting that Leighton Holdings has plans to sell Thiess, but such a move would take the annual turnover of the iconic Australian builder from about $24 billion to less than a quarter of that amount. The Spanish owners of Leighton apparently want to secure $3 billion through asset sales, adding weight to the suggestions that Thiess could be next on the block. Leighton had collected $1.5 billion just before Christmas in cash through the sale of its services asset and contract to John Holland. ABB has successfully commissioned a high-voltage direct current HVDC link between Norway and Denmark to increase availability of renewable hydroelectric and wind power in the region's electricity grid. At 500 kV, the link sets a new record in transmission voltage using voltage source converters. The converters rely on semiconductors to convert electricity from high-voltage alternating current to direct current and back, while offering controllability and compact design. A report published on the 14th of this month shows electricity demand in Australia's national electricity market, NEM, has decreased again in 2014. Following a trend that began in 2009, consumption fell again last year by 1.1% to 2,098 gigawatt-hours, less than 2013 levels. The only state to record an increase was Queensland. The state with the largest drop was Victoria, which was largely attributed to the Point Henry aluminium smelter closing down at the end of July. Rio Tinto is facing a fight with the receivers of collapsed mining services firm Forge Group to keep $100 million in bank bonds the mining giant called down on terminating a string of contract days after the company fell over. Receivers KordaMentha are also pursuing $50 million they claim Forge is owed for unpaid work. KordaMentha Restructuring has told the Fairfax media it's planning to lodge Supreme Court proceedings in Western Australia in a bid to recoup some of the money it claims it is owed. Rio subsidy Hamersley Iron pulled its 5 contracts with Forge Group last year, several days after the Perth-based contractor collapsed in February, and they called down about $100 million in bank securities Forge had provided. The contracts with Forge were worth about $750 million in total. Alinta Energy, the company that its private equity owners have aspirations to sell for as much as $5 billion, turns out to be not the only former Babcock & Brown business under the watchful eye of suitors. Infigen Energy, previously called Babcock & Brown Wind Partners when it was under the control of the now-collapsed investment bank, is also being sounded out as a potential acquisition target, according to sources. The business, with a $167 million market capitalisation, has 6 wind farms across Australia with a total installed capacity of 556.6 megawatts and has interest in 18 wind farms in the US. Police have launched the second phase of their drug crackdown on the Western Australia's mining industry with operations at 2 sites in the northwest this week. Mine workers arriving at Pilbara's airstrips used by BHP Billiton and Rio Tinto were searched by police dogs and officers. Operation Redwater was launched last month and police visited 3 Fortescue Metals Group mine sites in the Pilbara. 1 person was summoned for possessing prescription drugs without a prescription, while the other positive drug results given by workers were sent on to the chemist for further testing. No illicit substances were found on the 3 sites. The Pilbara's fragmented power infrastructure is set to undergo a major overhaul in order to foster the future development of Australia's biggest mining hub. Western Australia is situated beyond the scope of Australia's national electricity market, and its mineral-rich Pilbara region is powered by the North West Interconnected System, which is owned and operated by a 5-party consortium of public and private companies including Horizon Power, ATCO Australia, Alinta Energy and BHP Billiton. The NWIS has its origins in the early 1970s when iron ore companies began to install their own generation and transmission systems to supply power to their operations. The standalone systems were eventually stitched together by the State Energy Commission of WA in 1985. Problems with electricity supply could significantly impact future development on greenfield projects in the Pilbara, given that power generation is one of the most important and costly aspects of mining developments in remote areas. Lyndon Rowe, chairman of Western Australian state-owned power utility Synergy, will be responsible for leading the Pilbara Energy Infrastructure Project. The team for the project will consist of a mixture of members of public and private sector, including senior representatives from the Departments of State Development and Treasury as well as the Public Utilities Office, and senior executives from industry that have existing or proposed investments in the region.